Hello, everybody. This is an exemplar for the branding guide, or rather a demo for the exemplar of the branding guide. So what I have here is a final product. So a couple of things that we have in this folder. We have our InDesign document, looks like this. We have a final PDF, which looks like this. And we also have an images folder, and this is for all the images that we're planning on using inside of, well, all the images that I'm planning on using inside the branding guide. Some of them I wound up not using, like any of these over here, and these down here. That's okay. The idea is that any images that I'm planning on using should be collected and put inside of a folder. So the way that this is set up is you can see that I have a folder called branding guide. I go in there. Here's my InDesign file, and in that same folder, I also have an images file, images folder that contains all the images that I'm planning on using. So you want to make sure that you set that up early on in the process, and we'll talk about the details about that. In here, I have PDFs. I have EPSs, I have JPEGs, I have PNGs. So these are all the different file formats that I'm planning on using. These two are for the logo in black and white and in color. These are my two posters, and these are some of the image assets and how they look. And I pulled those straight from the poster once I was once I was finished with it. And then the last thing that I have in here is this thing over here. This is, it looks very similar to what I just showed you, but this is the package. And a couple of differences. If you look inside the links folder, you'll see that this is only the stuff that I wound up using. And if you go into the document fonts folder, this is showing the fonts that I'm using inside of this document. The reason for this is that if I need to send this off to get mass produced, if I need to send this off to a printer, then I send them this folder. And they will have everything that they need in order to print out the project. This also includes a PDF, so that they should, the printer should see the different type of the intention of the design. So if what they're printing doesn't match the PDF, they know that there's something wrong that they need to adjust. So, let's go through what the final looks like, and then we'll start setting up our InDesign file. So to start, here's my cover page. It just needs to have the logo. It needs to state that the name of the document is the branding guide and who it was prepared by. So it was prepared by yours truly. And then we get into the next page. The next page is the about page. And this I'm stripping straight from the logo presentation. And I just formatted it with the newer fonts. Now that I have a poster and I know what the typography looks like, you're seeing that represented over here. So we're talking about the product, the competition, and the history. And then we get into the target audience and the truths. So I put that all in one page, so this way it wasn't too blank. So I just consolidated 2 slides from the presentation deck into one in this deck. And then we get into the framework. So here's the framework. So we have our belief, mission, vision. So this is everything that we saw in the logo presentation, just copy and pasted and restyled for our brand. Okay, now we get into the new stuff. So here I'm showing the logo in color and in black and white. So to show that in places where the logo needs to be in black and white, and that could be, traditionally it was, the logo was photocopied, or like if you're really going back when your logo was on something that was faxed, right? But this is also showing just that the contrast still works in black and white, that the logo still has enough contrast, that has a good composition without color. So you want to include those 2 things on your logo page. In the next page, we have the breakdown of our color palettes. So over here, this text over here is just defining, these are our colors. So I have this shade of blue. I'm calling it red, but it's more of a violet color. I have purple, and I have a yellow color. So in context, when all these things come together, I'm calling these blue, red, magenta, and yellow. And I go into details about why these colors matter. So blue, red, and yellow, primary colors traditionally used in comics. And then the magenta over here is to show the light interactions, because now we're taking comics out of the print space and into the digital space. So I wanted to show something about how light interacts inside the logo, and that's the concept over here. I have some shadows and how those shadows are casting different color lights. Next page, we talk about typography. Now, I don't need to get into specifics about the logo, because the fonts that are inside the logos, which are Avenir, they shouldn't be used for any of other pieces of text inside of any design. So there shouldn't be a heading or body copy that is set to Avenir, right? That is fonts that is specifically used just for the logo. So over here, I'm defining what the heading looks like. I have the name, Amboy Black, and then I'm providing the alphabet and the numbers so that if somebody's trying to compare fonts, they could see exactly what a W and an X and a P look like in that font. And then I do the same thing with body. So in body, I'm using Franklin Gothic medium. In here, I'm using, I'm defining the capitalizations for the alphabet, the lowercase versions of the alphabet, and the numbers. I didn't do that with Amboy because they don't have lowercase characters. It's only uppercase. So so by defining that, I'm defining what these letter forms look like so that when another designer is working on these projects, they know exactly what to look for. Next up, we have image use and graphical elements. So over here, I'm defining that if you're going to put an image inside of a design piece, then it should be in the style of a comic. And then I go into what that looks like. So the colors should be flat tones. So it shouldn't be photorealistic. And the line arts should have a defined edge, right? So there should be some type of inking happening inside of the piece. Then I'm defining what a trapezium is and how it's used. So the trapeziums are these blue shapes over here. And trapeziums, they are four-sided shapes where there are no parallels, right? So there's no parallels with these two opposite sides or with these two opposite sides. So it should be some weird type of four-sided shape, quadrilateral. And I'm defining that these shapes, these trapeziums, are used to frame images and to frame text, or they can be used to frame images and text. It's possible to create a design without the trapeziums, but if you need to accentuate, then you could use that as a graphical element. And then I get into the halftones, and we use halftones, I'm defining over here, to add texture to the background. So those are the things that you can do with these graphical elements. This is what the visual language should be on any design piece. And then we get into application. So this is, okay, we've defined what the typography looks like, we defined how the visuals look like, we defined the color palette. So now we bring it all together, and here are the posters that show how these pieces all come together inside of a final design. So I get into details of that over here. The typography is set to Amboy. The typography is set to Amboy for the headings, Franklin Gothic for the body copy. The primary colors are where they're supposed to be. The images are all consistent with what I laid out in the previous slides. And that's it. So that's everything that we have inside of our branding guide. And the idea is that if I pass this over to outside agency who's going to continue developing graphic materials for this company, then they should have everything that they need in order to replicate the style of the brand. So, okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to rebuild this in InDesign. So I'm going to go through the first, I think, I should do page 1, page 2. I'll do page 5, 8, and 9. And I think that'll give you a good enough example of how InDesign works, and show you all the tools and how to manipulate images inside of the space, how to set up grids, and then from there you can create your own. So let's go in and get started. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take these images and I'm going to copy them. Now, these images, I was going through and I was finding different versions. Sometimes I had to go into Illustrator and export them, or copy and paste them into Photoshop, or copy and paste them into their own Illustrator file so that I could pull them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, this is everything that I've done within this branding cohort for branding. And I'm going to come in here, I'm going to create a brand new folder. And I'm going to call this BG for branding guide, right? Name it whatever you want. I just want to separate the folder of the final product from the demo. So I'm going to come over here and I want to create a folder called images. But as I haven't created my InDesign file yet, and I'm just collecting all of the assets that I'm planning on using. All right, so I'm putting them in here. Let's get a view of the icons. So there we go. So I have some for the logos, the posters, and these 4 are the the graphics in use or the graphic styles that we're going for. Okay, next up, let's go into InDesign. So I'm gonna close this one out. And when I open up InDesign, I'm gonna land on this page and I want to create a brand new file. So I'm gonna hit new file up here. And then this is gonna give me this panel. I'm gonna set the units to inches. And I wanna make sure that is set to 11 inches width by 8.5 height. Over here, there's an option for facing pages. This is good if you're creating a spread, like a booklet or a magazine spread. We're not doing that in this case, so I'm going to turn that off, right? The intention here is that the branding guide is going to be single-sided sheets of paper when it's printed out. Going down, we have columns. I think in the exemplar, I have only one column, but I think after doing this, after completing it, I think I want to go with 4 columns because of all the different changes that I needed to make. And over here, all that's going to do is it's going to set up guides so that we have 4 even columns inside of the margins of the page. And over here, I'm setting up what the gutter looks like. So how much negative space do I need in between each column? So I'm going to set that to 1/4 inch. So 0.25 inches. For the margins, I'm going to set that to 1/2 inch. So that's already there. But if it wasn't, you can see that you could change them all independently. You could also type in here and just type in something, right? So if I want them all to be consistent, there's a little link over here. So I click on that. And then whatever I do to one, I do to all. So that creates that. So I have a margin from the edge of my page in set to, and that should be 1/2 inch. And then inside of that margin, I'm setting up 4 columns at 1/4 inch. So when I hit create over here, I don't know how many pages I'm going to need. If you happen to, then you could type that in over here. But I can always change all this stuff later, right? This is just to give me a foundation for what I'm trying to create. So I'm going to hit create over here. And here is our first page. And this is what I'm talking about. So we have a 1/2 inch margin over here. And then inside of there, we have 4 even columns. And those columns have a 1/4 inch gutter in between them, right? So that's to allow for some negative space in between my columns. Next up, I want to talk about the ruler. So Control R or Command R if you're on a Mac will toggle the ruler. And just for any guides that you need to create, once you have the ruler up, you could pull down from either axis and create a guide. So you could do something like this if you need to, and this specifies where those values, what axis point that guide will be in. So, and you can always select a guide and delete it. If you need to toggle this, you could go into View, and you could go into Grids and Guides. You can hide guides or come back and show guides like so. I believe there's also an option to lock guides. Yeah, that's this one over here. So over here, this is so that you can't select it and accidentally delete it if you don't want, if you want to make sure that it stays there. So you can use that if you need to play around with different layouts outside of this 4-column grid that we set up over here. So just letting you know that that's an option. Over here, I have a couple of panels up. I had to rearrange this, and you can easily do that. So whatever panels you don't see here, just know that you could go under Window, and the full list of panels are available over here. Some of them are inside of sub-menus, like characters and paragraphs over here. So whatever you need to look for as far as a panel is under Window. And if you see a check mark next to it, that means that it's already available. So it's already out here somewhere. Just like any other Adobe application, if you need to change stuff up, if you need to change how this looks, you could go to any tab on them, right? And then you can move these things around. You could group them in any which way, shape, or form as you need, just by clicking and dragging those tabs or grabbing the tab window bar and moving it wherever you want it to be. So that's an option. So I'm going to take paragraph, I'm going to put it over here, and that groups these 3 things together. I may shift it around a little bit more. The stuff that I definitely used were paragraph styles, and we'll get into that. This allows you to set typography and then just reuse it over and over again, which is really nice. Here is the properties tab. So this allows you to change shapes and sizes of things. It also has some stuff for alignments when it comes to images. So we'll see that a lot. Here's your character panel, and it's the same as any other application, Adobe application. Here you set your font, here you set your style, here you set the size, leading, so on and so forth. You have alignments down here, so if you need to take a text block and an image, and you need to align them based on their left-hand side, their right-hand side, their top or bottom, whatever you're doing over there, you have all these different options over here. And this is the pages panel. This is going to be our first stop. So what I want to do is I want to create a template that we could use over and over again. And I'm going to go in and set this up. So up here, this says a parent right here. That means the a template. And now that I've double clicked on it, I can see that down here, I am inside of the parent. So whatever I do here will be reflected on any page that has an A. So this is currently one of them. I'm going to drag a second one just so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's another page. So I have page 1, page 2. I'm going to zoom out so you can see that I have those 2 pages. And then if I go to the template up here, whatever changes I make up here will reflect in those 2 pages. So first thing that I want to do is I want to create a title up here. So I'm going to click and drag a section up here, a text bar up here. I'm going to set it to maybe 10 by 1. I think that should do it. And I haven't memorized the things that the properties that I set. So I'm coming in here fresh. I have an idea based on the exemplar that I showed you, but I don't remember like the font sizes or what I did for the colors. So I'm showing you in real time like how this is going to develop. So I do know that I want my titles to be Amboy. So I'm going to come over here, look for Amboy, and I'm just going to put in some dummy text over here. So I'm just going to say page title, like that. And now I want to style this. So it's already Amboy. I think I want it to be that magenta color. So I use the magenta color inside of my posters over here. So I just need to go in and find what that color is. So I can also go to the logo. Here, I have some text in that color. So I'm going to double click over here. This one's set to A2009D, right? So I'm going to copy that hex code. Copying hex codes makes calling these colors a lot easier because it's 1 value to copy over as opposed to RGB, which has 3, or CMYK, which has 4. So 1 hex code to define a color. Now I want to change the color of this text. So if I look over here, I can see that I have a text color. I also have a text stroke color. I don't want to color the stroke. I want to color the fill of the text. So I'm going to double click over here, come down here to the hex code, paste in the value that I have, hit OK, and now that color is applied. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm also going to enlarge this. So I've selected the text, and now that I have it, I'm going to go to the characters panel, and I'm going to increase the size over here. And I think something like 40 pixels should do. 40 pixels may be too big. Let's stop at 30, and I think that that will do nicely. Okay. Next thing is I assume that I'm going to have text on one side of the page and images on the other side. So I need to create a image box over here and a text box over here. So what I'm going to do is on the left-hand side, there's a rectangle frame tool. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click and drag a box over here. And that will be for my images. I want to make sure that this is that this has enough space. So I'm going to set it to 6.25. And you can see those values showing up on the screen as I hover. I can also go to the properties panel, and I can set that those values over here using width and height. So I'm going to do the same thing with the text box. I'm going to create a text box over here for these 2 columns. And that text box is currently blank. But if I right click and go to fill with placeholder text, I could click on that, and that's going to give me some text that's going to fill in that box, and it's lorem ipsum. So I want to go in and I want to style this as well. So I'm highlighting all that text. Let me go to character. I know that I'm using Franklin Gothic. So this Franklin Gothic medium, and let me set a size. So I think I'm going to go with, this is currently set to 12. Let me push it up to 14 because this is going to be for presentation purposes. So I'm going to need bigger text for that. But if it were meant to be read to an individual, or individual were holding some text, holding this document in physical, you could go as low as 8 points. But for display purposes, the lowest you want to go is 14. For the leading, I want to set this to 16. So something like that. That gives me a little bit more space. Then I want to go to paragraph, and I also want to make sure that hyphenate is not clicked. You can see hyphenation over here, right? So what I want to do is I want to select that, click hyphenation off, and that's removing that from there. So I think I got a pretty good template going. There's a couple other things that I want to do. So let's go and take care of that. I also want a page number to automatically appear. I don't want to worry about setting that. So I'm creating a text box down here in the lower lower right hand corner. I'm going to right click, and I want to go. Oh, I want to make sure that. Sorry, I used a rectangle tool, not the text box tool. So you can put text in there, but what I want is an actual text box. I want to right click over here, and I want to insert special characters. Yeah. So under when you right click, it says insert special characters. You could go to markers and then current page number, and then select that, and you'll get this little thing over here. This is a variable, and then as we get through the pages, you'll see page 1, page 2, page 3, so on and so forth. So now that I have this, I need to style this as well. So let me come over here, characters, and let me use Franklin Gothic for this. No, that's the wrong one. Franklin Gothic medium, and I want to go into paragraphs. I want to make sure that it's aligned to the right. I want to give it space because this document may be 10 pages. It could be 100 pages. So in the event that it's going to be 100 pages, I want to give it space to have 3 character digits. So I'm just going to align this over here, and with that, I should probably give a little bit more space between the text and the page number. So I'm just going to shift this up a little bit. So I know that I don't want to go into this area if I only have text or a lot of text inside this space. So I think that's it for my template. And just to show you the work that we've done, if I go into my document now and I click on page 1, you can see that all those things that I set up inside of my master page has been applied, right? So I have a page title over here, I have an image placeholder over here, I have text over here, and I have page number 1 over here. And then when I get into the second page, you can see that number has been changed to 2, right? So I have a pretty good template going. Before I move on, I'm going to set up my style sheet. So this is if I need to create new elements that are outside of these, and I will, I can go in and I could easily tap on one little thing and it'll take the typographic style that I've already predefined. So I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to select the text inside the title. I'm going to come over here to paragraph styles, and I'm going to click on this little plus sign. And over here, this is the paragraph style I just created. I'm just going to give it a name called title. Hit OK. I'm going to do the same thing for the body copy. So I just selected some text over there, click plus, and I'm going to call this body. Later on, I'll need one for a subtitle. So I could go in and do that when the need arises. So I have set up my template. Next thing that I want to do is I want to save this. So let me hit Command S. Let me go to my folder. So again, we're working in BG. I'm just going to call this what it is. It's a branding guide. And this is my InDesign file. This is for me to manipulate and to edit as need be. Okay, so my first page is not going to be a template. It's going to be the cover page. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this over here, and I have a new number 1. So you can see over here that this is starting at page 2 and page 3. I believe that we could reset this. So I could say that this is a cover, so it doesn't technically count as page number 1. So I'm going to come over here to the first page that has our master page A, and I'm going to right click, and if I go to page attributes or pages, numbering and section options. So I'm going to click over here, start page numbering at 1. So I'm going to hit that and say OK over here, and you can see that that's reset that to page 1, and that's page 2, right? So that this is from the none master page. So this is not counting as the cover. Okay, so now that I have this, let me get some assets in here. I'm going to need a text box. So let me come and create a text box. I'm going to put it over here in the bottom left. I'm going to just click and drag that. I want this to say branding guide. Then I'm going to hit return or enter depending on your system. And then I'm going to say prepared by, I put my name. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to select the first line of text. I'm going to come over here to paragraph styles. I'm going to hit title, and you can see that it's taking that all those properties for the page title. Then I'm going to come over here to where it says prepared by. I'm going to select body, and you can see that's taking that Franklin Gothic. So that's Amboy, and this is Franklin Gothic. And now that I have that, I could reformat this with the bounding boxes, right? If I click and hold for a second before starting to move this, you could get a visual of where things are moving, as opposed to this click and drag immediately. I don't know, like it's not showing me what the final product is going to look like until I release the mouse, right? So click, hold for a second, and then move, and then you get a visual of how your page is going to look. So have that over there. The next thing that I want to do is I want to place in my logo right in the center over here. So I'm going to go to File and Place, or Control D. I'm going to find my image. So let me get to the right folder. This is my BG folder. Here's my images folder. Let me find my color image, my color logo. And then once I select that and hit OK, or hit open or place, I believe, I'm going to get this. Now, wherever I click is going to create a frame with the image inside of it. The two are separate from each other. And I'll show you what that looks like. If I just click and drag in here, I can crop into my image, or I could expand out from here, right? I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. Meanwhile, I could also double click on this, and now you can see that I have like this orange bounding box that will allow me to manipulate the image inside the frame. So the frame is, think about a window, and then the image is the content that you're seeing inside the window, and that content can be moved around. So you can see that moving the image. Meanwhile, the frame is staying exactly where it is, right? I can also size this, I can scale it. I'm holding down Shift as I'm doing this to keep it in proportion. I can move it around and all that stuff. So just keep in mind that, like, when you create an image inside of InDesign, or place an image inside of InDesign, you are not only placing the image, you're also placing the frame around that image. So a couple of things over here. My logo looks a little choppy. So if you have the bandwidth, if your computer's strong enough, you could go to View and Display Performance and go to High Quality Display. And that will that should increase like what you're seeing on your screen will be very close to what the output should be, right? So if you don't do that and you're just in typical, then you may see low res images, even though the image is fine. It's just low res just for the purposes of creating the layout. So next thing I want to do is go into properties, and I want to show you a couple of things over here with image framing. So if you go to frame fitting down here, what you'll see is this. Let's say I have a scenario where the image, like this is my frame, and I know that my image can get larger. Then I have a couple of options over here, like this one that says fit content proportionately. So that's going to scale it up without cropping it to the largest it could be without cropping it. So clicking on that, it enlarges the image. And I'll show you the reverse of that. So here's a smaller box, and then I click on this, and it'll scale the image, filling in the box without cropping the image. The other one, the one that's next to it, will crop the image if it needs to, just to fill in the box. So you can see that example. So it's scaling up, but it's also letting some of the image get cropped out, as opposed to this, which is scaling the image so that we see the whole of the image within the box, as large as it can be. In addition to that, we also have a couple of other options. What if I want to frame the box to the image? So here, the image is not that big, and I have a really big box. So I could click over here to fit frame to content, and that will resize the frame so that it fits the box, so that it fits the image. Manual manipulations, I'm still on the selector tool over here. If I click and hold for a second, then hit Control and Shift. Sorry, I think I need to do that first. My apologies. So hit Control and Shift, and then select your box. When you click, hold, and then drag, you'll be able to scale the image and the box together. Right. So those are different ways in which you can manipulate the image. You could either set the image to the way that you want, and then place it where you want, and then place the frame where you want it to be, and do all that good stuff, and then come over here, frame options to set the box. So that's not the frame isn't taking up too much space. Or you could click and hold Control and Shift, or Command and Shift, and then click and hold on your mouse and then scale. You can do it which way fits your purposes. Okay, I think in one of the moves that I just made, I accidentally elongated my image. So I'm just going to reset this over here, and I want to click and hold Control Shift, click and hold the mouse, and then drag it out. And then I want to center this on the page. So I have guides on, smart guides. See that? So that's telling me that where I'm centering it on the page, you can see this magenta margin right in the middle of the page is showing me that I'm pretty much in the center. And then I just need to place this somewhere that looks nice. I think that looks nice. Okay. And if I want to see this without the guides, I could go in here, hide guides. I could also come in here and say extras, hide frame edges, and this is giving me what my page will look like in the end. So I like that. I'm happy with it. I'm moving on to the next page. So I'm going to just turn those things back on. So show frame edges and show guides. And let's get to the next page. So I said I was going to bounce around. I think the next page that I wanted to do was one of the text heavy pages. So let's talk about the framework. So I'm going to go back into my folder to where I have my logo presentation. Here's my logo presentation. And I'm going to go over here to the framework. And this is a copy and paste job. So let's copy that. Go to InDesign. And what you'll notice over here is that as I'm clicking, because this is an element that I set on the master page, it's currently unlocked on here. So I need to hit Control Shift and then click to unlock it. So now that that's unlocked, I could then go in and paste in the words of the framework. And I'm also going to go back to my document, my presentation. And I'm going to select all this text, copy it over, and then Control Shift over here to unlock this text block. Select all that text, that's Control A. Paste the text that I have, that's Control V as in Victor. And then I just want to format this. So what I think I'm going to do over here is I'm going to delete this text, this image box. So Control Shift click, delete. I'm going to shift this over. All right. I think I have a problem with it aligning like this. So I think I want to indent all this stuff. So I'm going to grab a guide. I'm going to put it at the 1 inch mark like so. And then I know exactly where I need to align this text box like that. Okay, next up, I'm going to hit return over here, return over there. It's already inheriting the body copy, but I want some differentiation between the subtitles and the actual text. So I want idea to look one way, and then reading and entertaining are not exclusive to be on another, to be in the body copy. So here's what I have right now. And again, we're going to be using our style guides. So I'm going to select this text. I'm going to go to character. I want to set this to Amboy. I want to set the size to something bigger. So let's try 18. And I want a different color. So let me go back to the poster and figure out what color I was using there. I need a color. I need this red color. So let me just spot. Oops. So here's Illustrator. And let me just spot that color over there. Get this hex code. And come back into InDesign. Select this text. Select the color. Paste in that hex code. That becomes a new color. I think I like that. So I'm going to come over here and create a new style based off of that. And I'm going to set this to sub title. Okay. And now here's the paragraph styles at work. So I'm going to highlight mission, then click up here on subtitle, go to vision, subtitle, idea, subtitle, values, subtitle, promises, subtitle, and spirit, subtitle. So it made it a lot simpler to style all these things again, right? Like instead of resetting the fonts 6 times, 6 more times, setting the color 6 more times, setting the font size 6 more times, I just created a subtitle style and then just clicked on it in order to apply those typographic changes. Okay, so I think I'm done with this page, and then off to the next page. Now the next page, let's take a look. I think I want to do, so I showed you how to do title. I showed you how to do that. Let's play around with the hex codes. I think I want to do image use and graphical elements. Color, image use. Okay. So Okay. So the next page I want to work on was the colors page. For the colors page, I'm going to put color tiles over here. I'm going to put hex codes and RGB values, and then I'll just talk about the color palette and what it means. So again, all these elements are from the master page. So I'm going to hit Control Shift in order to unlock this, then change the title over here to color. I'll leave this alone for now. And what I want is to get rid of this box. I'm not going to use this right now. And what I'm going to do is instead create a rectangle over here. And I have 4 colors in my palette. So I have 1 color over there. I'm going to change the color over here to something random. So something like that. And then I'll go in and I'll fix the colors in a bit. So now that I have this, I think I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to hit Control C, Control V to paste. That's 2, 3. That's 4, right? And that's okay. But you can see that they're not evenly distributed. So I'm going to move this box to the bottom, and I want the space to be evenly distributed between the top box and the bottom box. So let me select all 4 of these, go to align, and then I'm going to go to distribute objects. I have an option over here to distribute them vertically centered. So that gives me equal spaces in between all of these elements. So that's in the align panel over there. Okay, so I need a text box over here now. And I'm just going to click and drag one over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my poster, and I'm going to spot check all the colors that I need. So I have this purple, or I could actually just pull them straight from the logo. The only color that's not in the logo is the yellow. So I need 2 things. I want to show the hex code, and I want to show the RGB value. So let's go and take care of that. So I'm going to do blue first. And then once I have that, then I'm just going to copy and paste from the exemplar because you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to do over here. So this is the hex code. So I'm going to come over here, click on the fill color, set that. Now it's that blue. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to type in hex, pound, and then hex code over there. And then I'm also going to do RGBA, RGB, and then I need the numeric values. So I'm going to go back to my Illustrator document, come back to the fill color, and I can see that for RGB, I have 0 for red, green is 84, B is 166. So 84, 166. Like so. And I want this to be in the style of my body text. So I click there. You can see our style sheet is working for us. So I just want to format this a little bit, get it to the right place. You can see that my smart guides are working over here. So align this, then copy and paste. And this to the bottom of the next box, like so. Again, over here. Like so. And then I'm going to use that exemplar to get through this page faster. So when I give you, that's the stuff that I did is the hard part. You know, copy and pasting hex codes and putting in numerical values from 2 different color modes. So that's the tedious part. So I just want to get through the page a lot faster because I think you get the idea of like going into Illustrator and color spotting. Now that I have that text there, I know what hex codes these boxes need to be. So that's B00069. Over here, this is A2009D. And then this one is incorrect. Okay, so I need to use the hex codes and change that. That was a mistake that I copied over apparently. So this is 255. I'm using the RGB values. Instead, this is 203. This is 5. That's the yellow. That's the correct yellow. So I'm just going to copy this. Hit OK. Change the hex code over here. FFCB. FFCB. I want that all in caps. There we go. Okay. And then over here, unlock this. Control Shift click. And I'm just going to put in the text for what these colors mean. Right. Remember we were talking about color psychology. gonna paste that text in there, and let's get a space in between the paragraphs. Okay, and then that's it for this one. So moving on, we're going to create a new page. So I'm just going to click and drag this down here. And on this one, it's going to be all about imagery. So up here, unlock. And then I'm going to change this to say image, use, and graphical elements. And then this is where I'm really going to start using the 4-column grid. So I'm just going to unlock these two. I'm going to move them over because I'm going to reformat all this stuff over here. This template is just strictly for this page. So I'm going to do something like this. I want to set a box. Paste. Copy and paste. If I'm not sure if I'm aligning it correctly, I can always use the alignment panel in order to fix this up. So I saw the smart guides working, but just to be absolutely 100% sure that all of these are aligning correctly, I'm going to align them all to the top. And that is perfect alignment there. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy. I'm going to resize this and make it as a column down below. Like so, and then I can copy and paste this over. Another alternative is, if you're going to have 4 columns that are going to be the same, copy and paste or set up one column correctly. So what I want to do over here is I want to have, let's get rid of all this text over here. I'm going to say imagery, like so, and then I'm going to put in some text over here. So these are the rules that I defined for my images, and then I'm going to come up here, set this to subtitle, and set this to body. So one-click solution for typography. Indent all this stuff like so. Okay, and then I need an image over here, so I'm going to go right-click. Actually, I'm going to hit Command D to place, and I'm going to find the image that I'm planning on using. So that's this one over here. And you can see the image is really big. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in over here under Properties, go to Frame Fitting, and I'm going to scale the image to fit proportionately, like so. Okay, so that's one. Let me also give this image, no, that's fine. I'll leave that alone. So now I'm just going to click and drag, select both of these things, Command C to copy, Command V to paste. And let me just step and repeat this. And grab both of these things. I don't want you to click on that little image, that little symbol in the middle, because that's just saying we want to move the image, and I don't want to do that. There we go. Okay, so now I just need to replace these images. So Command B. This one was going to be talking about framing. So we're going to do image framing over here. There we go. Fit proportionately. So step and repeat. This one's going to be text. Fit proportionately. And then this one's going to be a halftone. Command D. Find the halftone. And there we go. And then for this one over here specifically, I think what I want to do is I want to click on this image. I want to actually scale this up. I just want to see a crop of it. I don't need to show the whole thing. I just want to show that there is a halftone. So you can see over there that the frame is cropping out parts of the image that I don't want to see. Something like that. Okay. And then I just need to change the copy over here. So this is talking about the trapezium. These two in the middle are talking about the trapezium. Do this. Before the paragraph mark, and I think that that will keep the typography. And then I'm just going to change the text over here. So I would definitely repeat this process for each one of the pages that I have in the exemplar. So I'm only doing a subset over here, right? Like there's only 3 pages. Well, we went over 4 pages here. So I would continue building out the 5 pages into a document. Take a look at the exemplar to see the format of how this document should be laid out. We start off with the framework, then we get into the brand, the visual brand. Now let's talk about production, right? Or rather, preparing for production. So file, save to save this file down. Then file, export to create our PDF. So directly inside of the BG, the branding guide folder, I can see that I have a file format of PDF. That's good. It has branding guide.pdf set as a name over here. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to leave all these presets alone. The one thing I want to make sure of is that I'm not saving as a spread. I'm saving as pages. And then I hit export. And when I go to my folder, what I should see is I now have inside of my BG folder this PDF. So I'm going to go and check it out. Make sure that everything looks right. And if it doesn't, then go back into my Indesign file and fix it up. Okay. And then once I'm satisfied that that looks good, then I could go and package this for production. So that's file, package. And then over here, I'm just going to select package, hit save. And then I'm going to save it directly in this folder. This is the wrong folder. Let's go to BG. So inside my BG folder, I'll hit package. And let's go and take a look at that folder now. So here's my BG folder. Here's my package, which includes everything, including the PDF. Okay. So this is the PDF that you want to submit on Blackboard. On Google Classroom. That has all of your branding guide specs inside of it. I will throw the exemplar into Classroom so that you can reference it. Okay. Any questions? Let me know. Take care, guys.